Love him or hate him, or maybe like me, sometimes be amused and sometimes annoyed by him, Deion Sanders is completely unique to college football. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. We appreciate you stopping by for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. We continue our previews and predictions as we stop in Boulder. We probably would have forgotten to stop in Boulder just a few years ago, but Deion Sanders has made his brand undeniable. And this is the point to be made, why it's so unique. Take the great coaches in the history of college football and the great players in the history of football. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, most recently. Go back into the annals of Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler, Bear Bryant, Joe Paterno, Bobby Bowden. Well, they all made a name in college football. Even the players were players that, based on their accomplishments on the field, became a brand. All right. Then we got Deion Sanders. Yes, it started as a player. He's a brand. He's a celebrity in and of himself. He doesn't need college football. He was already a brand and a celebrity as one of the greats at his position, both at the collegiate level and in the NFL as a Pro Football Hall of Famer, and then he became a celebrity. He's just a unique case in which he has been able to build a program at Colorado in a completely unorthodox way through the transfer portal, and with all the recruits and the incoming transfers coming to him, he doesn't even get out there on the recruiting trail and recruit for himself. Well, it's worked. He took over a 1-11 team, lifted them to 4-8, and then 9-4. However, will it now work without his two of the best players in college football? Deion Sanders, a top 5 quarterback, 4,100 yards, and 37 touchdown passes and almost 500 pass attempts. They relied, of course, so much on Deion's son. Or the best player in college football, Travis Hunter, the number 1 cornerback and arguably the best wide receiver in college football, 96 catches and 15 touchdowns. And again, the most versatile and flat out the best player in college football. So he misses those two guys. And they were more important to their team, we could argue, and successfully do it than any two players anywhere. So what is Deion going to do without these two guys? Well, first of all, he went out and got a veteran quarterback in Caden Salter of Liberty. Go back to 2023 when he lifted the Flames to a Fiesta Bowl matchup with Oregon, an undefeated regular season, 44 touchdowns accounted for in 2023. A down year for Salter in comparison in 24. They need him to be electric. They need him to be Deion Sanders. And Caden Salter is actually going to have a better offensive line to work behind than Deion Sanders did. Sanders, hey, he's got his detractors just like his dad. And for very good reason. Boom, 100 miles an hour, a couple different times, most recently. But don't take it away from the guy that he was able to make plays running for his life behind a porous offensive line and behind no running game, no support from the running game. We'll get to that in just a second, but let's address the offensive line because Colorado did with Xylon Chrysler from Illinois, Zarian McGill from Louisiana Tech, and Texas A&M's Aki Ogunbiyi after having two of the worst sack rates in college football in 23 and 24. Okay, on the outside for Caden Salter, we've got Omarion Miller. He was banged up last season, but when he performed, 10 catches for 21 yards per catch. Joseph Williams, 80 catches at Tulsa. He is now a buff at the running back position, and this was the most porous running game in all of college football in terms of yards per game at 65, but of course that had to do with them just being horrific running the football, but also that they seldom did it. And they seldom did it because they were horrific at it. Running back Micah Welch is back, and many project him to be the starter despite not being the leading rusher returning. That is Isaiah Augustave with 384 rushing yards last year. Marshall Faulk might be the best addition on offense. Yes, the all-time great. And this is another thing that Deion Sanders brings to the table. Not only having celebrities align the sideline and bring crowds to the field and attention, but he can also get them to coach for him. So Marshall Faulk will try to improve the running backs as one of the best to ever do it himself. The defense was much better in 2024. Gave up 35 points per game the previous season, down to 23 points per game. But in the losses, they were bad. i.e. 331 rushing yards given up to Kansas, and that pretty much blew a shot at the Big 12 championship game down the stretch. Of course, they relied on the transfer portal. 4 starters return, then the rest supplemented by the portal. Jaheim Otis from Alabama. Well, what do we know about him? Automatically, you know, he was a 4 or 5 star, and he was actually in the rotation along the defensive front for the Tide. So good player, 57 career tackles. Tavion Coleman from Texas State, 26 stops and 6 TFLs. Martavius French was the leading tackler for Texas San Antonio with 80 and 17 behind the line of scrimmage. Reginald Hughes, Jacksonville State, 82 stops, 10 tackles for loss, and 4.5 sacks. The place kicker, Alejandro Mata, comes back for a 3rd season after hitting 22 of 27. Now let's check out the Buffs' schedule. And, of course, let's keep in mind that the TV ratings have been kind to Colorado and therefore the Big 12. This has been the biggest draw in the Big 12 by far on television. So once again, we can criticize Deion Sanders and his swag and his rhetoric and his talk and his brashness and all of it. However, he has brought attention to the Big 12 and to the University of Colorado. He has earned his paycheck, not with wins, but with attention and dollars. Colorado was the primary focus of attention and drew the 10 largest TV audiences of the Big 12 last season. This is what they have to do on the field against the 2025 schedule. Georgia Tech's the opener at home on a Thursday night. That's going to draw a big crowd, and that's going to be a difficult one for the Buffs to survive. But they're going to be at home, raucous crowd. And the Big 12 is balanced, so it's difficult to get a handle on, really, where the difficult games are, more so than any other conference. However, let's keep in mind that, of course, Arizona State won the conference last year, and Kenny Dillingham doing a fine job, we would expect, with their starting quarterback back in the fold, that Arizona State is going to be a contender, as well as BYU, Iowa State, Kansas State. They are the class of the league, we believe, and Colorado's going to face all 4. No Texas Tech, and so Colorado's going to take a step back. I don't think there's any question about that. After 9 regular season wins, let's go to 6-6. They are going to be one of the famed plus or minus 3. 6-6 overall. Give them 4 wins in the Big 12 out of 9 games. Your comments and questions below concerning Deion Sanders, Caden Salter, and company in Boulder. Please catch us for the College Football Show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the chat, join the discussion, have a good time trash talking, and you can even give me a call. Again, it's Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.